Hello guys, welcome back to Beyond the Realms, and today I have a Blu-ray review for one of the latest Scream Factory releases, and it is for The Burning. I'm so glad that this finally has an official release. This has been a long time coming. This was one of the big titles that never had an official DVD release. And now it's on not only DVD, but also Blu-ray in a combo pack, which is really, really awesome of Scream Factory to do. So finally I can replace this old bootleg copy that I've had from a convention from a long time ago. But I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the actual movie itself, because anybody watching this video has probably already seen the film. This has always been touted as one of the best Friday the 13th rip-off films, because really, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you know, there's this guy that these kids that are at a camping retreat, they pull a prank on this guy, and he gets burned up, and he seeks revenge on the kids later on. Well, just basically just goes on revenge regardless on any type of kids that's out camping. And you know, the kids are, of course, all about having sex, getting laid, and you know, it's a fun summer slasher type film with some very gruesome effects done by the always awesome Tom Savini. And it's just an all-around great slasher film, and you know, and in my opinion, this has always been one of the best slasher films. I've just always really loved this, and when I bought that bootleg years ago at a convention and watched it for the first time ever, you know, that was the first thing that came to mind. It's like, why does this not have a release, you know? And it's taken this long to get it, but Scream Factory has really went all out with it. And you know, there's a lot of familiar faces in this film. A lot of high name talent in this. Well, maybe not high name, maybe one or two, but a lot of people you'll know and recognize. Brian Backer, he was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He plays Alfred, one of the kids. And then of course you have Jason Alexander, which, you know, if you're like me and you're not a fan of Seinfeld, you still know that guy regardless from being from that show. He's in it, plays one of the kids. Then you have Fisher Stevens that plays Woodstock, and I always remembered him as the scientist, engineer guy from Short Circuit. I always, you know, recognized him. When I saw him in this, I was like, wow, okay, it's an earlier role for him. Holly Hunter actually shows up in this in a very small role. The first time I watched it, you know, I did a double take, like, holy crap, that's Holly Hunter. I mean, it's not a prominent role, but she does pop up. And I believe that's it. But also Jack Shoulder that did Alone in the Dark and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. The director of both those films, he edited this film. It's directed by Tony Malum, and I really don't think he did too much other than this. I mean, that I know of. I mean, I looked at him on IMDb, and I didn't really know anything else that he did. But if you've never seen this film, you have to check it out. Cropsy's an awesome killer. And you know, he's burnt up, and he does this thing with the garden shears where he just raises them up and then kills. You know, there's the infamous raft scene in this, which you know, things are pretty calm until this point. And you know, the kids, what happens is the rafts ends up getting cut, or the line's cut, and they're sent out into the lake. So they build this makeshift raft to go out and collect the rafts, so you know, they can leave the place. And when they're going up to one of the rafts that's adrift in the lake, Cropsy pops up and just murders all of them. It's a very gruesome scene, probably the most famous scene from this movie. But there's a lot of gruesome kills in this, and I mean, it just has all those great slasher elements. You know, it's just you know, like I said, a fun summertime camp film. You know, very reminiscent of Friday the 13th. But in my opinion, I may take some heat for this. I love this film way more than Friday the 13th. I mean, if you know me, I'm not a fan of the original Friday the 13th, and I always catch heat for that. But I'm not a fan of that film at all. And you know, people may say this is a rip-off of Friday the 13th, but Friday the 13th, you know, it's not an original film either. It's, you know, it's a rip-off of multiple films that came before it. Bay of Blood, Town That Dreaded Sundown's the most obvious, I think, now after seeing it. But Friday the 13th is always referenced because it started the whole big slasher craze of the 80s, and I respect it for that. But in my opinion, this film is much, much better. Now, as far as the bonus features go, it has some listed here on the back, but I actually have it pulled up here on the TV to reference some of these, because on here it only lists audio commentary by director Tony Malin and international journalist Alan Jones. I did not check out the commentary, but unlike The Town That Dreaded Sundown, I did check out the rest of the features on here to let you guys know how they are. Blood and Fire Memories. That's like a 20-minute long interview with Tom Savini. And it tells how, you know, this film came right in between Friday the 13th and Maniac. You know, how he was going from film to film, doing all of these gruesome effects and coming up with creative ways to kill people. And he talks about how he turned down doing Friday the 13th to do this film, which I thought was really cool. But it's a very good interview with him. And then you have a theatrical trailer more, but also what's not listed on here is they have Slash and Cut, an interview with editor Jack Shoulder, which is that's really cool too. You know, he talks about how he wasn't into horror films. He wanted to be a poet. He was an English major. He stumbled upon this film, and they gave him a shot to edit it, and they loved it. And you know, he could have really built a career off of being an editor, but then he wanted to get into writing and directing. He had Alone in the Dark already wrote at the time, and after editing this film, you know, he decided, hey, I need to go back and change some of this and make it scarier. That's like a 10-minute long interview with him. Next up, you have Cropsey Speaks, an interview with actor Lou David that plays Cropsey. This is probably about 10 minutes also. He talks about how he got into the film and how his son was just born on like August the 16th, and then the next day on the 17th he had to leave to shoot this film. So it was really hard on him. He's really torn to do it, but he had a lot of fun to do it, or a lot of fun making the film and doing it. It's a good interview. And next up you have Summer Camp Nightmare, an interview with actress Lee Ayers. She's also another one, you know, not in a horror film. She was looking for a paycheck and stumbled upon this role, got the role, and she talks about a lot of her experiences on the film, how, you know, everybody was very green making this film, and but they wanted to really make it work. She talks about a lot of the things behind the scenes, how just the different things that they did during their downtime and stuff like that. And then there's the behind the scenes footage on this, which is probably about 8 minutes long, and this is taken from Tom Savini's own personal collection, which if you know much about Savini, he's always known to film behind the scenes stuff for every film he did. I have a whole collection of stuff that he did on Day of the Dead, a bootleg of all his VHS tapes from that. It's really cool. So if you know anything about that, you know that this is awesome. Shows a lot of the stunts being filmed, like with one of the burn scenes with Cropsey. There's extensive footage from the actual raft scene. The guy getting stabbed in the neck, it shows them setting up that scene, filming that scene, and of course, you know, Tom Savini actually plays Cropsey in that part. He has the gloves on, he has the shears. He's the actual one that punctures the neck, which he's also known to do that in many of the films he's worked on. It shows the scene where Fisher Stevens gets his fingers cut off, how they did that, and a few other things, but it's very cool. I wish it was more than 8 minutes. That was probably my favorite featurette, just because I love that behind the scenes Tom Savini stuff. But then you have the theatrical trailer, you have a makeup effects and still gallery, and a poster and still gallery. So Screen Factory really loaded it up, guys, and the Blu-ray quality is really awesome. I'll give the Blu-ray quality an 8 out of 10 for the picture. It's just really cleaned up well. I mean, it still has some grain, there's still some flaws in the film. This was a low-budget film, but it's by far the best this thing's ever looked, and it's really, really good. The film itself, I give this a 9 out of 10. I highly recommend it if you're into slasher films or just lost 80s films that you've never seen, and you know, if you want to check out one that's just really, really cool. So guys, that is The Burning. I appreciate you all watching. This is available now everywhere. Have a good one, guys. Later.